This is the trick that took me from 0 beat sales to getting placements. If you're a smart producer, you want to get better. Organization is key to getting better, and the best way to stay organized is with a template. Open up an empty projects file, add in whatever you want when you start making a beat, save the file by selecting Save as Template, type in your template name, and press the checkbox when you're happy with the name. Then press OK. Now your template shows up, and you can set that to be what opens up every time you open up FL Studio by going into the general settings and changing the default template to that template you just made. A professional beat is cohesive, and the best way to glue sounds together is with a mix bus. So to make a mix bus, you want to take multiple channels, unroute them from the master, and then route them over to your mix bus. This way the sound from these channels is going to the mix bus and then the master, as opposed to just going to the master. A good trick for gluing your melody together is by adding a compressor onto your melody bus. This is the trick that took me from 0 beat sales to getting placements, and that's scale highlighting. You can turn on scale highlighting by pressing Alt-B, or by going into the view options and by turning on the note grid highlights. Then right click the music note icon to pick which scale is highlighted. You can also press the note icon to only play notes that are in key, which is really useful if you want to hear how a melodic phrase sounds somewhere else. Adding automation will make your beats more dynamic, and it's really easy to do. Almost anything that's native to FL Studio can be automated by right-clicking and then pressing Create Automation Clip. I do this all the time when I'm fading out my beats. I just select the 8 bars, right-click the master channel volume, and I create automation clip, and then I adjust as needed. You can do this with all sorts of effects and stock plugins, so realistically, your imagination is the limit. You won't ever realize the full potential of your melodies unless you render them out. All you need to do to render your MIDI pattern into a wave file is by right-clicking the pattern and then press Render and Replace. This will open up this menu. You can change around the settings to whatever you like, but just press Start and it will render. Once that's done, it will replace the MIDI pattern, and you're free to mess around with the wave file like a sample, which is great because there are so many cool things that you can do with samples as opposed to just MIDI patterns. One of my favorite things to do when I render out a sound is to turn on fade stereo, and what this does is it just makes the stereo fade from one side to the other. It's also good to mess around with the pitch to find what potentially could sound better, and if you're feeling frisky, you can mess around with the time stretch of the pattern as well. What makes music so good is its perfect imperfections. Producer Riz. We could totally meme that. To capture that, we need to humanize our melodies. FL Studio 21 has this great tool for humanizing MIDI. Mess around with the settings to your liking, and bam, the melody will sound like you played it yourself. If that's not enough, you can also strum your chords by pressing Alt-S and randomize the velocities by pressing Alt-R. All of these tips will help you make better beats in FL Studio right away, whether you have 10 years of experience or 2 weeks. So let me know which tip is your favorite, and if you've got any tips for me, let me know down in the comments.